big veiny and draw it.
What did you just say?
I said, don't film me saying that. Don't look.
We've got the etching machine here. And this.
I'm gonna draw something really special for Tokyo, as long as he's still on the phone.
And this is the heat shield that belongs right here. Look at the lovely weather out today. Beautiful. So we're gonna make the best of today. I'm gonna go get Tokyo's truck. I'm gonna get my tubing bender and I'm gonna try and build the frame, get the air compressor, and build the air over hydraulic setup for it. This thing, remember last video I was saying that my trans brake wasn't working? Well, I've been picking at it off camera here for a little bit, and I've had two style trans brakes. I have one like this and one like this. There's one like this in the car currently. This is the old one. I have a brand new one. And I kept getting both of them to try and work and work and work, and I kept adjusting and doing things, and they wouldn't work. So eventually I pulled the little valve out that goes inside, that plunges, and has a spring on it. I pulled it out to take a picture of it, and then when I put it back in and put the trans brake back in, it worked. So I don't know if there was like some debris stuck with the valve or whatever, but that was the simple fix. So we have a trans brake in this, which is good because I don't have to mess with it. It's ready for the next track day, whenever that is, or some street hits, or whatever we decide to do with it next. So I'm gonna grab the grinder, because we might have to grind out the bolts for the tubing bender. So we're gonna grab that, head up to the other garage, and I'll see you there. 242,000 kilometers, Tokyo. Better make sure your rings are seated for you, I guess. So here's the bender we need to get out of the floor. As you can see, we got all kinds of mess in here. We're gonna need this chop saw too for cutting the metal. I still have this car, debating on what to do with it still. Virginia's Beetle's still in here, 57 Beetle. And then our mini truck too, which was gonna get a motor swap, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with this for now. I think it's super cool. We should turn it into a snowmobile. So we've got our bender here, we've got our angle iron we're gonna use to build a frame. I think we're gonna do something like 3x3. We're gonna bolt that to the front half. We're gonna remove the handle and this big spool thing from our air compressor. We're gonna bolt this to the back half. And then our buddy Shane also gave us some wheels here. So hopefully we'll be able to move them around. Our two are casters with locks, and then there's the back two. And I hope that this 8-gallon tank is gonna be big enough for the 8-ton Ram. It might need to like recharge itself a lot to fill up the tank, but it'll be better than like cranking on it by hand when you got a real thick piece of pipe, if you know what I mean. I don't know what I mean, because that didn't make sense to me. It's foreign. Here's our basic frame layout. It's 3 feet by 2.5 feet. The compressor's gonna fit in there easy. We're still debating on where we wanna mount this, but we're gonna get this cleaned up, tacked up. That way we have our basic structure and we can start like laying stuff inside of it. Went ahead and got Tokyo to drive the Malibu over here. It is leaking around the garage door just a tiny bit because it's angled in under the door, and it's been monsoon raining for like a day and a half straight now. So we got a little bit of seepage underneath there. We're gonna do the dump pipes from the wastegates into the exhaust here just to stop blowing wastegate everywhere. Our little stand here is built. It needs some more welding, but I'm waiting to get the water cooler for my welder so I don't overheat that thing. That should be here Thursday. This just needs to be portable enough that we can put the ram on it, and then it'll just, yeah, sturdy enough, moves around. It's 2.5 by 3 feet, so it does take up a little bit of space, but I can always store it at the other garage if I do not need it. We also have some exhaust tubing here because the exhaust currently exits somewhere in this area, and we want it to exit somewhere in behind the tire in this area. We might need a bit more, some bends, but even if we can get up to here built, and then I'll just add a couple little turn downs on it to put the exhaust down. I've also been watching a lot of Meticulous on YouTube. He's like one of my favorite guys to watch because, as you guys know, if you watch him, he's all about fab work and stuff. So it kind of keeps me motivated seeing him pick away at stuff and building those cool like headers and stuff that he's built. Makes me want to build some tubular ones for maybe this, maybe my car. It's always about progression, and the more that I do something, I'm like, ooh, I can't believe I did that 6 months ago because I could do that twice as good now. Kind of weird circle that you get into when you start TIG welding. So it's another shitty day out where it's like moist everywhere, the way your mom is, and now we're gonna lay some pipe on this car like your mom likes. And I got a haircut to look a little less like a hobolo, but I still got the mustache because I gotta look sexy for them ladies, or the one lady. She likes it because it catches the moisture from her thing, and then, yeah, then I can smell it all day. As I said earlier, we're gonna start getting this wastegate dump into here, so we're gonna have to start cutting up some pipe, get something that matches here, and we got a couple flex sections to put in there too, just so if this is slightly off and this is slightly off, we can still kind of bend the flex section to make this fit. We've got one here. As I say, it fell down because unfortunately our clamp does not fit on top of this. This one's too narrow, and then we lost the other one, so we're down a couple clamps. Just so we dump back into the exhaust. There's a hole marked out there. We've got to grind that out and then weld this piece onto that piece, and then must be dumping tubes here and not all over all of this stuff back here, which was kind of sooty. It looks pretty good. There is a tiny little gap here. That'll get sucked in when we put a V-band clamp on it, I'm sure. That's why we put the flex in it, so it's got a little bit of flex. I mean, we could have used a bellows, but these were like 13 bucks and a bellow was like 80 bucks. Dang, dudes, I'm getting pretty good at this. Also, check my 1320 video thing. I want to make something like this that say Boosted Lifestyle on them. We're actually working on a merch store right now, me and Virginia. We've kind of made some products and we're waiting for the tested products to come to us before we put it on the website. So we're in the mix of getting some merch going. Here's the second one tacked into place. I reused pieces of the old dump pipe, so I didn't have to re-weld this stuff, but yeah, so we just tacked this in. Got a nice little beveled piece on there, and it feels like it's gonna weld up pretty decently. I just used the end of this barrel here to get the right shape. I tried to make it symmetrical, but because our custom-made cheap turbo manifolds weren't symmetrical, we didn't really have the choice, but I mean, it looks pretty good if you ask me. So on this piece, I took the easy way out and I literally just pulsed it. I got the pulse settings down where like, I didn't even use filler, I just used that stupid little ridge. See on this side? See on this side, that stupid little ridge? I used that as filler material and I literally just pulsed around the whole thing here. Let me see if I can show ya. I'm just pulsing my way around it. So, since we don't have any V-bands that fit, this one's here, that one's done over there. Now both of our exhaust systems, they just dump like right here by the firewall somewhere, so I might jack this up, see if we can extend that out a little bit further at least, so we're not dying inside the cab, but I think it looks good overall. Putting up some more exhaust. Exhaust pipe is gonna route back here somewhere. In the meantime, I built a cool little heat shield to just tack 2 nuts on the pipe here. Little aluminum shield to keep some heat away, like make some airspace, keep the heat away from the brake booster. But I must say, my first impressions of this welder, getting to weld with it just for this little bit, it seems like a lot better than the Miller was. Even just like tack welding stuff, it seems to be like way more smooth. I don't know how to explain it other than smooth. Like the Miller seemed like it would just punch the tack weld in the face, and this thing's like, and then it's tack welded. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. It just works better. So after smashing some donairs, Tokyo came over to watch me do some more work, but he wants to be able to weld a portion of his exhaust on the end. So he's got to get some practice hours in.
On the multi-bucket here. On the welding stool.
On the welding stool. We're just going to use this piece. I did this one for reference. You got a figure it out, pussy, and then I'll keep making the exhaust.
What's this?
That's instead of a foot pedal, it's a finger trigger.
Big veiny dick and then draw it.
What did you just say?
I said, don't film me saying that. Don't look.
We've got the etching machine here, and this.
I'm gonna
the
draw
plate.
something really special for Tokyo, as long as he's still on the phone.
And this is the heat shield that belongs right here. Can't film that.
You cannot film that.
I'm not allowed to film that. Those are big ones.
I know it's a big one. It's coming. I mean, literally.
I definitely can't film that.
Don't film it. Okay, don't show it.
Also, these are some of Tokyo's welds that he was doing. Like some of them got pretty good once he figured out the angle you're supposed to dip the rod. Like all of these are Tokyo's. So some of them aren't bad. And I've been giving him tips as he goes, so they all went through on the inside. It's not a thing if I cover the head, right? BDE, big dick energy. Good job, you an artist.
I'm an
Now I
artist.
guess to go back on the car, like right here. Perfect. Just a kick across the cross member thing, so it sits like right here. So it comes down under and then kicks back up to try and hug the body more. It's still on pulse. Well, to end off today, we have 2 exhaust pipes that go to the back, but the exit somewhere back there. So it was a lot of work. I still have to weld it all up, unfortunately, but the amount of like pie cuts here to get up to that one. There's no light down here. The amount of pie cuts there. There's pie cuts over here to get it to work. Yeah, pie cuts. And then it goes out to the back here. I've tried to keep it close to the drive shaft because the seat bucket's actually sitting a bit lower, so if you go beside them, you actually get a little more ground clearance. And I put a little kink where our trans cross member is, right there. So it kinks up and under that. So if you look from the side, that's probably level, so it hangs a little bit, but not so bad. For something that's gonna have full twin 3-inch exhaust out the back. Actually, I wonder what it sounds like, to be honest, without getting the pipes too dirty. I can probably start it up. You wanna hold this?
I can do that.
I'll just fire it up, I guess. Tokyo's gonna miss it.
Tokyo is gonna miss it.
Sounds good.
Sounds more pissed off, actually.
Yeah. Maybe I'll send him a little sound clip here. I don't want to get it too like messy on the inside because I still have to weld it and I don't want any contamination in there, so. We're getting a late start on it today. It's Virginia's first day off and we were looking at Fox body Mustangs for the better part of the morning. She's really interested in like the 4 light Fox body, so I think it's like pre 87, something like that. So we're trying to find a clean one of those, put it like in our back pocket, maybe for a future car for her to use at the track. But here's our 2 lengths of exhaust pipe that have to be welded up today. Very simple stuff that we did. We've got a couple welds to do here. I don't know, it's probably gonna take the rest of our argon. But that at least puts the exhaust somewhere near the back of the car. Well, I think I've got my pulse settings figured out on V-bands, just a little bit more tweaking maybe. But, camera gonna pick that up or not? Camera's not very good for picking stuff up. Probably can't pick it up because it's so goddamn smooth. Well, it's both exhaust welded up, but I'm pretty much welded out today. I'm pretty much out of argon. And that was like 3 hours welding to weld all that up. So that's why you don't weld with pie cuts, because it's annoying. Also, by the end, I figured out my pulse technique for butt welds, and it comes out a lot better when I do pulse. So I figured out how all like the high-end guys make all their stuff look super smooth and awesome. They pulsing. Here's our finished exhaust. It is tucked up there pretty good. We just need some exhaust hangers. I think we're gonna put them right here in this centerpiece, and then on this side of the flex, like in front of the flex, I might bolt that to the engine side just to take the weight off the turbos. Yeah, and then one hanger right there, and then you should be able to drive around like this for now. I don't have any 3-inch bends, so I'm not gonna pie cut up and around the axle for now, so it's just gonna exit there, but it's much better than jumping right underneath the bottom. And then the heat management inside the engine should be a lot better, so we're not like burning anything up. So I do realize that I have not got a video of this car out testing, and it's been out a ton. He's put a bunch of kilometers on. He's been through like 3 or 4 tanks of fuel. So I promise we'll take this and the Mustang and maybe the Hellcat out to like an undisclosed area, so do some like street testing, and see if we can get some launches down on the streets, because I think it'd be pretty fun. So make sure you like the video and then subscribe and then PCZ and get that V, because V is good. V is good.